Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. It is Thursday, and that means the three amigos. How you doing, Matt?
I'm excited. Just really pumped that I'm the least valuable member of our team.
What?
Left field. I know. It was in the comments. I mean, just if I read the comments.
Oh, well, stop reading the comments. Dion, how are you?
Howdy, I'm doing great. I'm ready for round one. That's actually my line from work, man. I tell everybody how much better than me they are, which is just a trick to get them to do stuff.
I like it.
I'm confused. I'm going to need you to jump in on this one.
Yeah, can you help me out? Yeah, I understand. Well, hey, guys, one of the things I'm doing with each and every one of my experts this week is I'm trying to get your opinions across 8 variables, and I will go through them with you. But here, this is why. I now am confident that the Federal Reserve kept rates too low for too long.
Yeah.
One of the unfortunate outcomes of this is they have destroyed the single family housing market. What I mean by destroyed the housing market is for the last 100 years, the housing market has essentially been first time home buyer, move up buyer, then luxury. And there have been, it's been a pipeline, right? You get that first house. It's not quite what you want in the area. It's a little bit older. And then in 5 to 8 years, you move up. The last 40 years, rates have been going down. It has made that transition much easier. We are now in a rising rate environment. Unfortunately, we are coming off a 2-year period where 70% of loans have been either purchased or recast, meaning refied, and now have a 2, worst case, a 3 on them.
Yeah.
I now believe I've coined a term called supply destruction.
Okay.
And demand destruction is very easy to understand. It's actually taught in economics, right? And that's what the Fed is trying to do. The Fed is raising rates, cost of capital is going up, less stuff happens. Unfortunately, we are now having supply destruction, meaning normally I would list my home at 5 to 8 years because I want to move up. Now, when I go out and shop for that new home, I am looking at a new house, a trade up house is 80 to 100 grand more on average. Unfortunately, the interest rate could be up 300 basis points or more, which means your payment might double. And my suspicion is a lot of people are going to go, that's too much. We're going to stay put. So it's supply destruction. I have come up with 8 variables where supply comes from. Some of these will go up. Some of them will go down. I want your opinions, and I'll go back and forth who starts because I don't want you guys to anchor on each other. I would guess your numbers will be similar on some, but very different on others. So any questions before I bring it up?
No.
Awesome. Okay, so here's the spreadsheet. And again, I'm doing this for everyone. So we will go to the easiest one to understand at the bottom and work ourselves up. So we'll go to Dion first because you're column B. So the move up buyer, right? This is kind of that example, right? I believe over the next couple of years, there will be a certain percentage of people that don't move up that normally would. Right? The last 2 years, easy to move up. Oh, my house is up 100 grand. I'll sell it, go up the stack. So what percent of move up buyers decide not to move and thus not to put supply on the market? And feel free to ask questions if any of this is unclear.
I think a lot of people are going to want to be a move up buyer. They're going to see all the equity that they have. They're going to start researching it. I think the people that are going to be in a bad spot are the ones who try to do a reverse 1031. Where they sell and then want to, the other ones, regular 1031.
Yes.
Where they don't do the research on what it's going to be like to find the next property.
Yeah, so that'll be the next column. That'll be the next column. This is
the move up buyer.
This is straight up move up buyer, owner occupant, no 1031s for owners. Straight.
But move up means they're getting out of the old one.
Right. They're selling their small home and they're buying a slightly bigger home.
Right. So I think that's what'll happen. I think it's going to go way down as soon as they run the numbers on the purchase.
Exactly what I'm thinking. So what percentage of those folks want to do it, run the numbers and go, honey, we are not doubling our payment. That would hurt our budget. And thus they stay put.
70%.
Okay. Same question for you, Matt.
85.
Damn. And again, I've done some rough math just so you guys realize how important these numbers are. Roughly speaking, there were 6 million existing home sales last year, rough speaking. About half of those were move up buyers, near as I can tell. So what we're saying is 2.1 million folks won't sell. Thus, this is Dion's number. 70% of 3 million is 2.1. So basically, we are going to have less than 4 million sales just with this one variable change next year.
Yep.
Right. And the number is worse for Matt. Okay. Now we'll go to Matt.
Mhm.
And again, I was trying to think with these 8 variables, all the people that could potentially list, because that's what I'm saying is supply destruction. So investors like you, me, Dion, the last couple of years, been great time to sell. I sold a troubled triplex because I could get out of it at a crazy number. Now, do I do that? Do I don't 1031 because maybe I can't get out of it because the timing and there's nothing good to buy? Do I not? Do I just keep what I have? Or maybe I sell more. Maybe baby boomers are, they want to sell. I don't know. Do you think the investors like the 3 of us sell more or less next year?
Well, are we on 1031? So
Yep.
are we doing, okay. I think that as far as like cash out refis and 1031 transactions, I think that probably is.
And by cash out, it's not refi. Cash out means this is all about supply. So it means it's
Selling.
sold.
Gotcha. I think that it's probably 5%.
Up or down?
I think only 5% of landlords will cash out or 1031.
So what? So this is the difference from last year. So this is
Yeah.
all
So
about
I think
net
it's off 95%.
Got
I
it.
think that landlords don't sell. I think that there's no 1031s. I think all of these types of transactions absolutely evaporate because the value of the home is going to be going down eventually, even if it goes down that 10, 20%, like what I'm calling for. I think the biggest issue that people are going to have is finding the other asset to get the money into, and then what that rate actually is. Those are all going to be heavily against an investor making a move.
Okay. All right.
That's my belief.
So Dion?
So this one, I actually get to use my favorite phrase. I think Matt's wrong.
Okay.
Cool.
Had to happen once. I think it's going to go down about 20% because we're jaded because we interact with investors like us.
Right.
And a lot of investors are hearing, I'm going to sell, I'm going to wait 2 years for the crash, and then I'm going to redeploy the funds.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a lot of investors out there. There's not even a lot of content creators out there that are saying there's no crash coming.
Got it. I like it. All right. So we'll go back to you, Dion, for the next one going up. The must sell, right? Life happens always, right? Death, divorce, job transfers. And again, these are owner occupants, very likely in this case. Do you think that goes up or down or is flat year to year?
I think the must sell is probably going to go up.
Okay.
And I know I have a reason. I just don't know how to articulate it.
Unemployment.
So they can't refinance to take money out because it would raise the price. They can't refinance to give people their portion of equity if it's an inherited property. I refinanced one time to take out equity to pay my ex her portion of the property to keep the house.
Yep.
That's not an option. So I think
you're right.
The people who just go, yeah, I'm just going to sell it. That's going to go up.
Okay. So
15%.
I like it. All right. Matt?
Over last year, I think that, I think it's right around that range, probably 20%. The reason I think that is because a lot of quarantining, job shifting, like there's a lot of stuff over the last 2 years that's happened where spouses have had to spend a lot more time with each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Thankfully, I like mine, and Mike, you like yours.
Absolutely.
And so
I love my spouse.
Yeah. I knew you would.
Yeah.
And the skull doesn't count, Dion. And so I think that that's a number that is going to, and that's more the scary part because they're going to have to be creative in how they sell.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. If they bought in the last year, they're going to have to be creative in how they sell.
Yeah. All right. Next one. I think we all agree that foreclosures are going to go up. Again, it's mainly because of this is all percentages, which make it really wacky, but it's all because there were none the last year. It was essentially illegal in most cases. But again, there will be, without question, in my opinion, more foreclosures. What kind of percentage, Matt, do you want to throw on that?
Oh boy. Over last year's numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be triple digit.
Agreed.
It's going to be 100%, 120%. It's going to be a big fatty of a number, but we're looking at it now, right? We're 29,000 now, and they're calling that like an 87% reach.
Yeah.
I think, change my number to 220%.
Okay.
Because I think it's probably going to go to, 60, which 60 more than the basically zero that we had. I think the other major point to that one too is this is with the banks bending over backwards, doing everything they can to keep these people in these things.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two is they almost all have equity. So if they identify that there's going to be, that they're even in default, at that point, they're going to go consult somebody.
Yeah.
And that somebody, anybody is going to tell them, you know what, you're in default. You're not, there's no rescue plan here. You're going to just have to sell. And here's the good news.
Yeah.
You're going to get a check at closing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which that's what fell apart back then. Because what people aren't comparing it to is the 250 to 275,000 a month that were coming on in 9, 10, and 11.
Exactly. All right. I like it. What about you, Dion? What kind of growth in foreclosures do you see?
So I just compared to last year, I'm hesitant to even say it's going to go up because it's still going to be, the same or less than a regular year. It'll be 100% up from last year because we couldn't really do them until about October. So, I think people have too much equity, and a lot of people have locked in low rates that people will be creative and find a way to keep the property.
Roommates and exactly. Okay. I like it. Flippers. You guys know on my channel, I said the last 12 months were the easiest time ever to do lipstick flips. I've come out the last month or two and said that time's over. But that doesn't mean other flippers don't try to do skinny deals. Do you think we have more or less people exiting? These are exiting, meaning they have to list flips.
Well, we're going to see a lot less.
Okay. How much less, Dion?
50% less.
Okay. So
I think interest rates are going to scare people away. Massive appreciation 2 years in a row. People are going to do 1 or 2 bad deals, and they're not going to do the next 10 that they would have if that deal was as good as their last one.
I like it. Matt?
75% down.
Okay. Next, builders. We go to Matt next. Again, builders may step in. They may create more. If there's not a lot of existing sales, supply got to come from somewhere. Do you think builders build more supply this year?
Yeah, the consideration on my answer on this is supply chain and cost of raw materials.
Absolutely.
Because copper, 14.2 copper, which is used, or 14.2 Romex copper, which is used to do like light switches and things like that in your house. A 250-foot roll of that 2 years ago was about $40.
Okay.
And right now that stuff sells for 110 a roll.
Jeez. Wow.
And so just in raw material costs, just for the same job that I would do 2 years ago, I'm looking at 250%, almost 300% increase in cost just for raw material. So I think the builders probably, I think they're probably either flat to down.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think they're going to be flat to down because I think one of the other things too that comes into play for builders is floor plan ability. The ability to floor plan something, knowing that you've got lenders out there, they're going to floor plan the thing for you. Also knowing what people can get for rates, like that $750,000 new house that's 1,560 square feet doesn't make sense anymore at $750,000 when you have a 5 in front of your interest rate. They were selling those at a slow pace when it was in the mid to high 3s.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really hard at 5 and something.
Okay. All right. How about you, Dion?
I think builders is going to go down quite a bit. I want to say another 50%.
Wow. Okay.
We have too many places talking rent control, which just kills a builder's motivation to even put something there because the buyer list goes away.
Yeah.
And then people borrow money to build.
Yes.
You don't have the money to build and then sell it. You borrow the money, and now those rates are up. then you're
Construction-
going to hope to sell it, and
Yeah.
those rates are up. So I see a 50% drop in building.
Yeah, and just so people know, construction loans, generally speaking, are variable as well. They're not generally fixed, or if they're fixed, it's a very short time. So, all right.
Do you guys see, so in that, so I agree with Dion's take. The only thing that I see is that at what point, like there's a lot of land this year and last that has been developed, scaped, roads put in, utilities put in, that's much further down. So my thought more is based on, it's going to take them 9 months to kind of work through that. I think that they get crushed in 23. I think 23 is a nasty number. I just think it takes them 9 months to get through that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it could be. Yeah. And I did my video yesterday. If you guys wanted to see my numbers, they're similar, but also different than many of these. Downsize. We're back to Dion first. Downsize. This is the one that I think is really interesting to think about. This is mom and dad in that 5-bedroom, 3-bath house because they had 3 kids. They're now gone. It's 2 stories. They're getting a little older. They're baby boomers probably. And, you know, I want to downsize. But now they're looking at downsizing, and, you know, if they took equity out of their big home, their payment's the same or worse, right? Matt, the mortgage guy, did this the other day, and he had a client where if they were going to downsize, their payment would go up $800. I'm like, well, why the hell would they do that? You're like, you're right. They wouldn't do that. So what do you think about baby boomers just not downsizing because the numbers don't work? Dion?
So this is my personal opinion from experience of the people I know. So that's not a very big pool to draw from.
Okay.
I see this saying static at 0.
Okay.
Because the people who go from large to small that I've known aren't taking out mortgages on the small house, because it also involves a relocation.
Correct.
They're going from that place where they worked that was expensive to the retirement area where the homes are more affordable, taking their equity, paying cash. So more interest rates don't impact that.
Awesome. Okay. I like it. 0. Matt, what about you?
I don't see that moving either. And main reason I don't see it moving is because of the example Matt had, Matt, the mortgage guy, because I think that people are going to look at it and they're going to get half the size of the house for 85% of the payment. And they're just going to go, why the heck would we do that? Why would we?
So you do think it changes?
Well, no, I think the number of people going from big to small, I think people stick. I think that they just stick it out and they don't bother going to that, because again,
exactly, they stay in the big home.
Yeah.
So then this does change, because again, what Dion was saying is
nobody moves.
Dion was saying everybody moves.
Everybody moves. Got it.
You're saying
I'm saying no. Yeah, I'm thinking nobody. I'm thinking nobody moves.
So you have a high percentage this.
I would think so. I would think it's, probably 70 to 70, so call it 70%. I think it's a big number, because again, I think that, I look at it and obviously talk to people that, we're in that age group where people are that move up buyer, right?
Yeah.
And they're looking at it now and they're like, yeah, I mean, I can stay in my house now that's, 2,500 square feet with X payment. And if I want to downsize, I'm going down to 1,500 square feet, but my payment is still 90%
exactly
what it was. And so I'll just keep the house. And by the time that I'm ready to really, really leave, because I think that there's a small percentage of people that are going to have to leave.
Sure.
That 20%. So if I really have to leave, then maybe, but outside of that, it's just like, you know what, fine, we'll just ride it out. And hopefully we get the 7-year swing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we have an asset that's worth what it was in the crash or correction before. That's my thought.
Very cool. Last column. This is kind of one that's hard to think about, but I think it's a category. So we'll go to you first, Matt. These are people who have second homes, right? They had a second home in Boise or Vegas or Phoenix. The last couple of years are like, oh my God, it's so expensive. And honey, we're never going there. Let's cash out. Well, it's a different equation now. Maybe the market's not as hot. Maybe it is. Do you think people with second homes sell more or less than they did last year, or flat?
I think last year was nothing but buying of second homes.
Okay.
So I think this year or into next, I think is going to be, probably a third of them say, oh, we barely ever use it. Why not just get rid of it? Okay. Like they either bought it for cash or they bought it with a ton of money down. They're just like, it's just dead money sitting there. We can go do XYZ trips. And PS, by the way, I hope they do it. And I hope they do it in Las Vegas, because that's where I want to buy something. So.
Okay. So you think that goes up a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. And Dion?
I think this is where the inventory comes from.
Ah, okay.
I see this increasing at least 100% compared to last
Oh, wow.
year. I think people are going to see the equity. Prices are going to continue to go up this year because look at how many negatives we have here. We're all
Yeah.
agreeing that there's going to be less inventory going forward.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of motivation on that second home for people who aren't investors using a second home to build a bigger rental portfolio.
Yeah.
So I definitely see that going up a lot.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. So let me just cut and paste this and put this on with all my other experts. You can see everybody's doing this.
Wow, Jonathan's afraid to use a big number.
Yeah. Well, again, Jonathan's experience is multifamily.
Well, but here's the thing. I think the reason I mentioned that can't afford Anna. I want to look at Anna's numbers. Wow, she only thinks 30% on the foreclosure piece. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And Matt, the mortgage guy, he would know. See, look at that. 300% on can't afford foreclosure. I think that's yeah.
Yeah. There's a chance that's 1,000%, but that's all because the base number is
Correct.
so small, right?
Correct.
So
yeah, but we don't need to say what that number really is.
Yeah, it's
because
still
we just wanna
50%.
we just want to show a big number.
yeah, exactly. I want to use it in the title. 300% foreclosure increase. I wanted it in the title. Matt, how can people find you?
Lumberjack Landlord on YouTube and Lumberjack Landlord on Instagram, and are my live streams 11:30 a.m. Eastern time on Sundays on my channel.
Awesome. And Dion, you?
Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.